Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, welcome. Today we're going to be learning how to make this ice cream Hello Kitty. So let's go ahead and get started. So the materials you're going to need are some stuffing, a tan colored yarn for the cone. This is the yarn that I'm using. I'm going to be making a chocolate Hello Kitty today. So I'm going to be using the color brown, a 4.25 millimeter crochet hook, a 3.50 millimeter crochet hook, a tape measure, scissors, a stitch marker, a yarn needle, some Amigurumi eyes. I don't know how to say that word, so forgive me if I mispronounced it. Amigurumi. I got these off of Amazon. I'll link them in the description below. I use these for her eyes and her nose. And I forgot some black yarn for her whiskers and some scrap yarn for the sprinkles, as you can see here on the icing and on her bow. Starting off with my tan color, you're going to create a magic ring. Pull up a loop, then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to insert 6 single crochets into the ring. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you're going to pull your ring closed. And now you're going to slip stitch at the top of that chain 1. And pull that through. All right, now you're going to chain 1, and into that same stitch, you're going to insert a single crochet. And I'm going to go ahead and mark my stitch with my stitch marker. And then I'm going to insert another single crochet into that stitch. And I'm going to insert 1 single crochet into the next stitch, a single crochet, increase into that stitch. So 2 single crochets into the third stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet increase into the next stitch, and 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Now you should have a total of 9 single crochets. So I'm going to go ahead and count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So be sure not to insert a single crochet into that stitch. It looks like it's a stitch, but it's not. It's just the slip stitch that we made earlier, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and remove my stitch marker, and then I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch at the top of that stitch, pull it through. Now I'm going to chain 1, place a single crochet into that same stitch, and then I'm going to place 1 single crochet. Go ahead and put your stitch marker back in. And now I'm going to go ahead and place a single crochet into each stitch in the round. So just 1 single crochet into each stitch. You should have a total of 9 single crochets. Alrighty, make sure you do not insert a single crochet in there. Be sure you are counting so that you don't mess up. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and remove my stitch marker and then insert a slip stitch into that space where I removed my stitch marker. And I'm going to chain 1. Sorry, I didn't realize I was out of focus here. Now I'm going to insert a single crochet into that same stitch. Reinsert my stitch marker again. Now I'm going to insert another single crochet into that same stitch. 1 single crochet into the next stitch. 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 2 single crochets into that next stitch. So a single crochet increase into the next. Now 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So you're just going to go ahead and repeat this pattern until you get to the end. You should end on 1 single crochet, and you should have a total of 12 stitches. Okay, we reached the end, making sure not to add a single crochet into that stitch because it's the slip stitch. Go ahead and slip stitch where you removed your stitch marker, chain 1, and then you're going to insert a single crochet into that same stitch. Go ahead and re-add your stitch marker. Now you're going to insert a single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and you're just going to keep inserting 1 single crochet into each stitch in this round. All right, we've reached the end. You should have finished with 12 single crochets. Go ahead and slip stitch where you remove your stitch marker, chain 1, and add 2 single crochets, but go ahead and mark your stitch with your stitch marker. So that's 1 single crochet, and then you're going to add another one into that same stitch. All right, now you're going to add 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So again, 1 single crochet into the next, 1 single crochet into the next, 1 single crochet into the next, and 2 single crochets into the next stitch. 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next. You should have finished with 15 stitches total. Remove your stitch marker, slip stitch where you just removed your stitch marker, chain 1, place a single crochet into that same stitch, re-add your stitch marker, and then place 1 single crochet into each stitch in this round. You should finish with a total of 15 single crochets. Alrighty, so I'm finishing up my 15th single crochet. Gonna go ahead and remove my stitch marker and slip stitch where I just removed that stitch marker. Now I'm gonna chain 1 and place 2 single crochets into that same stitch. But first I'm gonna go ahead and mark that first stitch I did. Place another single crochet in there, so there's 2 single crochets in there. Now I'm gonna place 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then place a single crochet increase into that 5th stitch. So you're going to increase every 5th stitch for this round. You should finish with a total of 18 stitches. All right, finished up my last stitch. Gonna go ahead and slip stitch where I just removed that stitch marker. Chain 1, and then for this round, we're just gonna place 1 single crochet into each stitch in the round. You should finish with a total of 18 stitches. All right, go ahead and remove your stitch marker, insert a slip stitch into that spot you just removed your stitch marker from. Now you're gonna chain 1, place a single crochet, well, 2 single crochets in there, but first I'm gonna mark my first stitch, place another single crochet into that stitch. On this row, you're going to be increasing every 6th stitch. So here I am doing my 5 single crochets. And then I'm going to increase on the 6th stitch. So for this round, you should end up with a total of 21 stitches. Okay, I have reached the end, removing my stitch marker. Gonna go ahead and slip stitch at the top. Chain 1. Insert a single crochet into that same stitch. and then you're going to insert 1 single crochet into each stitch in this round, finishing with a total of 21 single crochets. Whoopsies, I forgot to re-add my stitch marker. Let me do that right now. Okay, so we've reached the end. Gonna remove my stitch marker, slip stitch at the top, and chain 1. Here's what our cone is looking like so far. It's coming along very nicely. Gonna go ahead and chain 1 and insert 2 single crochets into that same stitch. For this round, we're going to increase on every 7th stitch, okay? So you should finish with a total of 24 single crochets. Here I am adding my stitch marker again because I forgot. Oopsies. All right, I finished up my last stitch, going to slip stitch at the top, chain 1, and then place 1 single crochet into that same stitch. Then you're going to place 1 single crochet into each stitch in this round, finishing with a total of 24 stitches. Go ahead and slip stitch at the top. I forgot to add my stitch marker again, sorry y'all. And this is what our cone looks like. We are finally done with the cone. So you can go ahead and chain 1 and cut your yarn. All right, so next we're going to be working on the icing on the cone. I'm going to be using my 3.5mm crochet hook and some pink yarn. Now looking at this cone, what I actually did on this cone is I freestyled the icing because I wanted to create like an irregular drip effect. But for this tutorial, I did create like a pattern sequence just in case I had like any beginners watching, so I didn't like end up confusing you guys by telling you to place a single crochet here and a double crochet there and a treble crochet here, you know. So if you'd like, you can just freestyle if you want, but so let's go ahead and get started. You're going to start off with a slip knot, and then you're going to chain up 25. All right, in the second chain from the hook, you're going to insert a single crochet, and then you're going to insert in that same stitch a half double crochet, then you're going to insert a treble crochet, another half double crochet in that same stitch, and a single crochet. Here's one of our drips. Skip a stitch, insert a slip stitch, skip a stitch, insert 3 single crochets into that stitch, skip a stitch, insert a slip stitch, skip a stitch, insert 1 single crochet, in that same stitch insert a half double crochet, a treble crochet, a half double crochet, and then a single crochet. Now you're going to skip a stitch, insert a slip stitch, skip a stitch, insert your 3 single crochets. And then you're just going to repeat this same pattern until you get to the end. Alrighty, and your last stitch should be a slip stitch. Alright, and here's what our icing is looking like. We're going to be sewing it to the outer edge of our cone. Now, the reason why we chained up 25 is, if you guys remember, on our last row of our cone, we finished with a total of 24 stitches. And then for the icing, we started in the second chain from the hook. So it all equates to 24 stitches. So for each stitch in the beginning chain of your icing, it should match up, should line up with each stitch on this cone. And here I am, I'm just going to be showing you which loop you're going to be working into. You should have a total of 24 stitches, okay? These are our stitches we're going to be working into. And then we're going to be working in the outer loop of the cone. That's where we're going to be sewing our icing onto. Now I turned my icing around and sewed the front side to the cone just because I kind of liked how it looked on the back. But whichever you prefer, it doesn't matter. It's still gonna all match up the same way. So here I'm just showing you, I'm gonna be working in these outer loops, sewing my icing onto the cone. All right, and here is what it's looking like. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this off and I'll meet you all at the end. Here I am at the end. I know it still looks a bit wonky, but don't worry, we're gonna fix it up. So these little pieces that hang down, I'm gonna sew along the outer edge of these pieces just to secure them so that they're not standing straight up. And there isn't really any wrong or right way to do this. I'm just making sure that all of the pieces that are kind of sticking up are not sticking up anymore. It's gonna blend in anyway since you're using the pink yarn. So yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and speed through this part and I'll meet you all at the end. Okay, and here's what it's looking like. I'm gonna go ahead and take these two loose pink ends and tie them in a knot together just to secure it. Now we're gonna go ahead and add the sprinkles on the cone. So taking any color scrap yarn, I'm using yellow. I'm going to grab my needle, thread it through, going on the inside of the cone. I'm just going to insert it anywhere on the icing and then pull it through the center. So it creates like this little sprinkle effect, and then I'm gonna just repeat the same step going all the way around the cone till I reach the end. Okay, now that I've reached the end, I'm just going to tie these two loose ends together, creating a knot just to secure it in place. Then I'm going to cut off the excess. Taking my next color, which is white, I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same steps that I did for the yellow. Okay, here I am finishing it off. Now I'm going to repeat the same steps with my last color using blue. Wow, I crocheted that so fast you didn't even see me. And here's the final look of our sprinkles on the cone. Next, we're going to create the head. I'm going to be using my 4.25 millimeter crochet hook. You're going to start off with a magic ring, chain up 1, and then in that circle you're going to place 6 single crochets. If you do not know how to do a magic ring, you can just simply chain 4, create a circle by connecting the beginning chain and the last chain, and then work within that circle. Go ahead and pull your circle closed. And then you're going to slip stitch at the top of that chain 1. And I like to go ahead and weave my end in while I'm crocheting. So next you're going to chain 1. And then in that same stitch, you're going to place 1 single crochet. Now go ahead and take your stitch marker and mark your first stitch. In that same stitch, you're going to place another single crochet. In the next stitch, you're going to place a single crochet increase. So in each stitch in this round, we're going to be placing 2 single crochets into each stitch till you get to the end. You should end with a total of 12 stitches. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10. So 2 more in this last stitch. Okay, and then we're going to remove our stitch marker and slip stitch at the top where we just removed our stitch marker. And you're going to chain 1 and place a single crochet in that same stitch. Add your stitch marker. Place another single crochet in that stitch. In the next stitch, you're only going to place 1 single crochet. In the next stitch, you're going to place a single crochet increase, so 2 single crochets. In the next stitch, you're going to place 1 single crochet. In the next stitch, you're going to place a single crochet increase, so 2 single crochets, and you're going to repeat the same pattern till you get to the end. You should end with a total of 18 stitches. Here I am finishing up my last stitch. And go ahead and remove your stitch marker and slip stitch at the top. Now you're going to chain 1, place 2 single crochets into that same stitch. Oh, but don't forget to use your stitch marker. In the next stitch, you're going to place 1 single crochet. In the next stitch, 1 single crochet. In the next stitch, a single crochet increase. In the next stitch, 1 single crochet. Next stitch, 1 single crochet. And then the next stitch, single crochet increase. So the pattern here is 2, 1, 1, 2. So go ahead and repeat that. I'll meet you guys at the end. Oh, and you should finish with a total of 24 stitches. Okay, here I am removing my stitch marker. I'm going to slip stitch in the top where I just removed my stitch marker, chain 1, and then I'm going to insert 2 single crochets. But don't forget to place your stitch marker in your first stitch. Place 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So 1 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, and a single crochet increase in the next one. So the pattern for this one is 2 1 1 1 2 1 1 1. So you're increasing every 4th stitch. You should end with a total of 30 stitches. And I finished up this row, so go ahead and slip stitch at the top, chain 1, place 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Now you're going to be increasing every 5th stitch for this round. You should finish with a total of 36 stitches. Okay, I went ahead and finished that round and already did my slip stitch. Now you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to place 2 single crochets into that same stitch. Now we're going to increase every 6th stitch in this round. You should finish with a total of 42 stitches. All right, I went ahead and slip stitched. Now I'm going to chain 1. Now for the next 4 rounds, we're just going to place 1 single crochet into each stitch in the round. Remember, we should have a total of 42 stitches once you're done. Okay, I've completed my 4 rows of 42 single crochets. Now for this round, we're going to start our decrease, but first let's count to make sure we have the correct amount of rounds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You should have 11 rows. Now we're going to start our decrease round. So I already chained 1. So what you're going to do is, working in the front loop only for this 1 stitch, we're going to insert our hook into the front loop, if I can get it in there, and then insert our hook into the next stitch's front loop only. Now you're going to pull through 2 and then pull through 2. That's our first decrease. Insert 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Now we're going to decrease again. So insert your hook into the front loop only, and then go ahead and insert your hook into the next stitch's front loop, pull through 2, and then pull through 2. So we're decreasing every 5th stitch. So go ahead and insert a single crochet in the next stitch, into the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. So that's 4. Now we're on our 5th stitch. In the front loop only, insert your hook into the next stitch, insert your hook into the front loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. So continue this pattern until we get to the end. All right, finishing up my last single crochet, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top, and then chain 1. We're going to also decrease on this round, so insert your hook into the front loop only, and then into the next front loop of the next stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2. And you're going to single crochet into the next 3 stitches, placing 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. All right, on the 4th stitch, we're going to go ahead and decrease. So in the front loop only, insert your hook into the next stitch, insert your hook, front loop only, pull through 2, pull through 2. So you're decreasing on every 4th stitch. I will meet you at the end. All right, now that we've reached the end, go ahead and slip stitch, chain 1, and you can go ahead and cut your yarn. You don't have to leave a long tail for this part. Next, we're gonna be creating the ear. As you can see, I already did one ear here. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to do it. We're gonna start off with a magic ring. Then you're gonna chain 1. Now you're going to insert 4 single crochets into the magic ring. Then you're going to slip stitch at the top of that first single crochet. Then you're going to insert 1 single crochet into that first stitch. Now you're going to insert a single crochet increase into the next stitch. Now you're going to insert 1 single crochet into the next stitch. And a single crochet increase into the next stitch. You should have a total of 6 stitches. Now this may look like a stitch, but it's not, so be sure not to work into that. It's just the slip stitch from the earlier round. So go ahead and slip stitch into the top of that first stitch. Now you're going to chain 1. And then you're going to insert 1 single crochet into the first stitch. You're just going to repeat what you did on round 2. And then you're going to insert a single crochet increase into the next stitch. So 2 single crochets into the next stitch. And then 1 single crochet into the next stitch. So you're going to repeat the same pattern from round 2. You should finish with a total of 9 stitches. Now we went ahead and finished with a slip stitch, and we're going to chain 1. For this round, we're going to insert 1 single crochet into the first stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then in the third stitch, we're going to insert a single crochet increase. So 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then a single crochet increase. You should finish with a total of 12 stitches in this round. The pattern is 1 1 2 1 1 2. All right, I've reached the end. Gonna go ahead and add a slip stitch, and then we're gonna chain 1 and cut off our yarn. Make sure you leave a long tail because we're gonna need 2 ears. So just go ahead and rewind this video and repeat the same steps. So I'm going to be using some push pins to hold my ear in place while I sew it down and to mark where I'm going to sew it. So as you can see with this ear, I started on the 3rd round from the top and then through 4, 5, 6, 7. So between the 6th and the 7th row is where I place the bottom of the ear. Okay, so here I am going to place it right there. You'll see me move it up a little bit because I know it's a little farther down. So I recounted and realized I'm not quite on the 3rd row. So we're gonna move it up and mark it. So I'm gonna count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So between the 6th and the 7th row is where I'm going to start sewing my ear, the bottom portion of my ear. So go ahead and get your needle. So I'll be working in the front, is it the front loop? The most outer loop. Okay, so not the loop that's closest to the head, but the loop that's farthest away from the head. And I'm gonna show you guys here. I'm pointing to it right here. We're going to be sewing through that loop only. So here we are. The outer loop, the outermost loop, that's the only loop we're sewing through. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew all the way around till I get to the end, and I'll meet you guys when I'm done. Okay, so here's the final look. Just make sure you go ahead and repeat that with your other ear. Now we're gonna be doing the bow, the signature Hello Kitty bow. So taking your pink yarn and your 3.5 millimeter crochet hook, you're gonna chain up 8. In the second chain from the hook, you're gonna insert 1 single crochet, and then you're just gonna insert 1 single crochet going all the way down till you get to the end. Once you get to the end, you're gonna chain 1 and then turn your work. Place 1 single crochet into each stitch going all the way till the end. You should have a total of 7 stitches. You're gonna chain 1, turn your work, repeat the same steps, placing 1 single crochet into each stitch till you get to the end. Okay, go ahead and chain 1, turn your work, place 1 single crochet into each stitch until you get to the end. Okay, now that we've reached the end, we're gonna be doing something a bit different. We're gonna create a single crochet border all around this little triangle, just so the bow isn't as sharp, but it kind of gives it like a rounded effect. So in this hole right here, one moment, let me adjust my camera. Whoopsies. So in this hole right here, we're gonna add a single crochet. And then in the next hole right here, a single crochet. And then in the next hole, so right here, add a single crochet. Okay, then we're gonna turn our work, and then all around this beginning chain, we're gonna add 6 single crochets. so you can see where the chains are, and just add a single crochet going all the way down till you get to the end. And then you're going to turn your work and then add 3 single crochets on the shorter side, and then I'll show you what we do when we get to the end. Okay, I'm finishing up my last single crochet. We're going to slip stitch into the top of that first single crochet that we did. All right, and here's what it's looking like. You go ahead and chain 1 and cut your yarn. Make sure you leave a long tail because we're going to use this tail to sew it to the ear. Okay, and this part is easy. It requires no sewing. So we're gonna take our pink yarn and we're just gonna wrap it around the center of the bow. You can wrap it around a few times. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. You can wrap it around to your desired thickness. I just did it 9 times, pulled it nice and tight, and then I'm gonna cut the yarn. And then the beginning piece that I use to start the wraparound, and then the end piece, I'm just gonna tie those in a knot together. I'm gonna do 1 more knot for extra measure. Now we're gonna add the sprinkles on the bow. So we're gonna just do this the same way that we did for the icing. You're gonna take your scrap yarn, and what I like to do is bring it through the back of the middle of the bow. I like that to be my starting point, and then I just repeat the same steps that I did for the icing, adding it wherever you prefer. And I like to do my finishing sprinkle close to where I started my initial sprinkle. That way I can just tie the 2 ends into a knot. Now what I'm doing is keeping this in the middle, closer to the middle, because when we sew the bow down onto the ear, you're going to be able to tuck in all the loose strands into the ear. That way they're not visible, and I'll show you guys once I'm done adding in my sprinkles. So I'm gonna go ahead and start in the middle for this one and just add it in any random spot all over the bow. Go ahead and tie my knot and then do my last color. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie the 2 white yarn into a knot, a double knot actually. And here's what our bow looks like. Now we're gonna set that bow aside and go ahead and put the eyes and the nose on. So taking my eyes, I'm gonna be using this one in the middle, just measuring it to make sure that was the same size, okay? Now I'm gonna count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I put the eyes on row 9 and 10. So we're gonna count down on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So not on 9 and 10, we're just gonna stick that eye in there. So you're gonna go ahead and take your tape measure, and I'm gonna measure how far apart I place my eyes on my demo one, just so I can make sure everything matches up according. So I'm gonna pause it right here. As you can see, from the very end to about 3 inches is where I placed my other eye. So I'm gonna measure it on this one at about 3 inches. Well, not at about 3 inches, at 3 inches. I'm gonna go ahead and insert my eye there, like so. Now for the nose, I'm gonna take this one, the 4th one, make sure it matches up. Yep, that's exactly right. I'm gonna count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So between row 10 and 11 is where I'm going to insert my nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So right there, dab smack in the middle. If you want to make sure it's precisely in the middle, just count 3 single crochets from the eye. So I'm gonna pause it and show you guys right here. See how there's those 3 dots? That represents 3 single crochets on each side. I'm gonna go ahead and add my washers to the back of my eyes and nose. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and sew this bow on. I'm gonna show you all what to do with all of these loose strings. First, I'm gonna cut some of them off because they are really long. And this is where we're going to tuck them in into the ear. I'm gonna take my smallest crochet hook and I'm just gonna start pulling these ends in like this. All right, and that's what the back's looking like, but don't worry about that because we're gonna sew this down nice and flat so you won't even really see the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my loose end that I had, and then I'm gonna just sew this bow down to the head. I'm also making sure to go in through the middle top of the bow just so we can hide some of those pieces that we weaved in. So like this. Make sure it's nice and tight. The great thing about sewing plushies is instead of like weaving in loose ends, you can just hide them all on the inside. I'm not really sewing it any kind of right or wrong way. I'm just making sure that the bow is nice and secure and that all of the loose ends are hidden. Okay, all done sewing the bow. I made sure to finish off on the inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my loose ends, my two pink loose ends, and tie them together in a knot just to secure it. All right, and here's what it's looking like. So cute. Gonna turn it around so you can see. Can't even see any of the loose ends because I sewed it nice and tight. So just be sure to do that. Now I'm just taking the two loose ends that I had for the ears and I'm just gonna tie them together so that it's nice and secure and they don't come loose. And now we're going to do the whiskers. Taking my black yarn. Now you can sew these anywhere you'd like, but if you want to know precisely how I did it, I went ahead and counted down the rows for you guys. I'm just going to show you here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I sewed it right beneath the 8th row going at a diagonal. 9, 10. I sewed it right at the below the 10th row. 11, 12. I sewed it right underneath the 11th row going at a downward diagonal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So between the 8th and the 9, I'm going to go ahead and place my first whisker like on this Hello Kitty. Going in through the inside of the head. Now we're doing the second whisker, going in through the inside, going back in, and the last one. This one I'm going to put at a slight downward diagonal. Now I'm just going to go ahead and snip the yarn. And then I'm going to tie the two loose ends together. And you can go ahead and repeat the same on the other side, creating the other whiskers. Now we're going to be crocheting the head and the cone together. I'm going to be using my 3.5 millimeter crochet hook for this part. You're going to take the yarn that you use to create the head to stitch both sides together. So we're going to be working in the outer loop of the last row of the cone that we finished. So here it is. It's kind of hard to see because we did sew the icing on there, and I was a little bit sloppy with my icing when I sewed it on, forgive me, but you can still see the outer loops of the cone, of the last row of the cone. So that's what we're going to be working in, the outermost loop of the cone. I'm going to show you guys here again. See it right there? We're going to be working in that outer loop. Okay, like so. So we inserted our hook into the outermost loop of the cone, and then we're going to also be working on the outer loop of the head. So go ahead and insert your hook there. Take your slip knot that you created, put that on your hook, and then you're going to pull through both loops and make a single crochet. Okay, so next stitch you're gonna insert into the outer loop, if I can get in there, and then the outer loop of the head. Sorry, I didn't realize I was out of view for this portion. Pull it through and then single crochet. Next, outer loop, pull through, single crochet. And then you're just going to repeat this till you get about halfway done, and then we're going to go ahead and add the stuffing. So I'll meet you guys there. Okay, I went ahead and added my stuffing, making sure it's nice and plump. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish up my single crochets. Here I am working on my last one. If I can get it in there. And then I'm going to slip stitch in the top of that first single crochet that I did. Now we're going to chain up 2. And then we're going to insert 3 half double crochets into the same stitch. This is going to create that ruffle effect. And I'll meet you all at the end. So here I am just shoving in that loose end, putting the final finishing touches on this cone. And voila, we are all done with our crochet Hello Kitty ice cream cone. Let me know what you guys think of this tutorial. If you recreate it, please share it with me. I'd love to see your recreations. For those of you who have little local events like farmers markets and shops and setups, these would be great items to display. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Peace be, y'all.